the daffodils. Now, daffodils are beautiful yellow flowers, and the flowers which he has mentioned, it is in a very big number. Numerous daffodils he sees. So here the first line you see, I wandered lowly as a cloud that floats on high over vales and hills, when all at once I saw a crowd, a host of golden daffodils, beside the lake, beneath the trees, fluttering and dancing in the breeze. So here you see the poem. What is the theme of the poem actually? The theme of the poem is all about the beauty of nature. He has used a number of nature images as clouds, you see clouds, hills, vales, lake. All these are what? All nature images. So images means what? The picture which he is giving is of nature, is all the nature. They are all in nature. So here you see this poem is very having a definite rhyme scheme. That is rhyme scheme A. If you take cloud as the sound of cloud as A, hills B, then with cloud and crowd again it matches, so it becomes A. Then hills is daffodils B, and trees C, and breeze is C. So the rhyme scheme is A B C C. So here the first line, students, you can very well here you can understand. I wandered lonely as a cloud. That is, the poet was aimlessly traveling. He's wandering, he's aimless, he has got, just he was traveling aimlessly. Just how he was moving, how he was traveling, just like a cloud. So just like a cloud, as a cloud that floats on high over vales and hills. So the clouds that floats over on high over vales and hills. Now, how was he wandering? He was wandering as a cloud. Now, this is what? This is a simile. All right. That is how he was wandering. How is the comparison made? I wandered lonely as a cloud. That is, it's a simile. That floats on high over vales and hills. That is, he was wandering just aimlessly like the clouds that over the hills and vales. Now, what is the meaning of vales? Vales means valley. Okay, valley. So how he was just wandering like the cloud which float on high over vales and hills. Now here you see the clouds are floating. Now what floats? A boat floats. So this is a metaphor. That is, the cloud is compared with the boat. Now the cloud is compared what is it doing? It floats. Now who floats? What floats? The boats float. So this is an indirect comparison with the boats, and this indirect comparison is called a metaphor. All right. Now direct comparison, here you see as or like is, for example, how he was wandering like a cloud. Here also there is a comparison, but this is a simile, and a simile will always use as and like. But how the clouds were moving? They were floating. That is, they were just floating like the boats. So this is a use of metaphor. And where? On high over vales and hills. When all at once I saw a crowd, a host of golden daffodils. So what did the poet see? He was moving near the hills and valleys of the mountainous Lake District. William Wordsworth's Lake District is very famous. He used to write all the poems, and that was his place where he resided, which is in England, Lake District of England. So when what happens, he was wandering, he was traveling just like a cloud over the hills and valleys of the mountainous Lake District of England. At that time, what he suddenly comes across a large number of golden daffodils. Now, how do you know it's a huge number? The crowd, host. The crowd and host is what? They give the idea, crowd and host give the idea of a large area. So, crowd and host. Crowd word and host. What does it give? It gives a large area, idea of large area. So the daffodils were in a large area, that is in a big number. He could see the daffodils. And where did he see them? He saw them beside the lake, beneath the trees. Now these are the daffodil flowers. These are the daffodil flowers. So where did he see it? They were all fluttering. They were all near the lake, and beneath means under the trees. The trees were there, and under the trees all these daffodils were seen in a big crowd. So what was it? Fluttering and dancing in the breeze. What were the daffodils? Were fluttering and dancing in the breeze. Now please, I'm turning the page, just see here. Now fluttering and dancing. Fluttering and dancing. Alright, these two words are personification. Okay, these are the personification. So you learned about simile, you came to know about the metaphor, and this is the personification. Now what? Now the daffodils, they are fluttering and dancing. These things are done by human beings. So when any human quality is seen in non-living things, in non-human things, then it is called personification. Who was fluttering and dancing? The daffodils were fluttering and dancing, and this is a personification. So let's move to the next stanza. I hope students you are understanding. Please mention in the comment box. Next stanza. This is the second stanza. Here comes the second stanza. So I told you there are 4 stanzas of 6 lines each. So the second stanza, you see, continuous as the stars. Continuous as the stars. What? The flowers. This is again a simile. The daffodils were what? They were all growing continuous like the stars. That is what are the stars. The stars are numerous in number, big number. They are all in the sky. They shine and twinkle on the Milky Way. So how were the flowers appearing? How were the daffodils appearing? They were all in continuously grown like stars, and they were twinkling just like this. That is, they were shining. They were shining, and they were just like the stars which appear in the Milky Way. So the second stanza, it describes beautifully the daffodils, how they looked. That is, the daffodils are shining as they are golden in color. They are, in the very first stanza it's mentioned, golden in color. And they are twinkling as they were fluttering in the breeze. Naturally, when they are fluttering means they were twinkling just like the stars. And the daffodils appeared, here you see, they stretched in the never-ending line. So the daffodils appeared, alright, the daffodils appeared to be stretched. Never-ending means what? Endlessly. Endlessly. Okay, this is E-N. Endlessly, the daffodils appeared to be stretched endlessly along the margin of a bay. So where were they? They were in the margin of, that is, they were at the border of a bay. Bay is a water body. 10,000 saw I at a glance. How many? 10,000 saw I at a glance, tossing their heads in a sprightly dance. Now, 10,000 saw I at a glance. This is a hyperbole. All right. This, what is the poetic device? That is, it's a hyperbole. That is, it's a poetic device, which means when there is a lot of exaggeration used, all right, to describe something. Exaggeration means in Hindi what you call huge, huge number, बढ़ा चढ़ा के बोलना. So 10,000. So is it possible that in one glance, glance means what? One, एक नजर में, can you see 10,000 at one time? So such a lot of over description, over exaggeration is called hyperbole. B-O-L-E. I hope you can understand my writing. So what did he see? Along the margin of a bay, 10,000 saw I at a glance. That is, in one side, he could see 10,000 daffodils. And what were they doing? They were tossing their heads and sprightly dance. Now, what is tossing their heads? This is again personification. That is, the daffodils have the quality of human being. That is, they were tossing, means they were moving their heads. The flowers were moving in the breeze, and they were as if they were having a sprightly dance. So I hope you have understood the second stanza. So here, what all you have done in second stanza, you get hyperbole. All right. Then you have personification. And of course, you also had simile. Isn't it? So these three poetic devices you have. P-O-E-T-I-C, device. Now, in your exam, students, you will get MCQs. So be very careful to know all these. You'll be asked what device is this? What poetic device? Which is the poetic device in continuous as the stars, like this, okay? And you also learned about the personification, hyperbole, and this, of course, rhyme scheme is same. Rhyme scheme is what? Same. The whole poem has 6 lines, and rhyme scheme is A, B, A, B, C, C. So you can see how beautiful these daffodils are. So let's move to the third stanza. Now this is the third stanza. The waves beside them danced, but they outdid the sparkling waves in glee. The waves beside them, who is this them? So the waves beside them danced. That is, who is this? Who is this them? This is the, these are them. This is mentioned for the daffodils. So the waves beside them danced. Them is the daffodils. And they outdid the sparkling waves in glee. So the daffodils are growing near the lake. So they are what? The waves were there, and they outdid the sparkling waves in glee. A poet could not but be gay in such a jocund company. Jocund means cheerful. All right. Cheerful company. All right. So I gazed and gazed, but little thought what wealth the show to me had brought. So here, the lines it says, the waves of the bay, what were they? They were dancing and looking very gleeful. Glee means very happy. The waves were dancing, gleeful. They were all dancing, and they were looking gleeful. In the atmosphere of the lake, And what happened? The sight of the daffodils, what? They outdid the sparkling waves, means they surpassed, all right? They surpassed, surpassed. They surpassed, that is, they were more attractive. They surpassed the sparkling beauty of the waves. Because why sparkling? Because the sun must be falling on the water and the waves were sparkling, glazing in the sunlight due to the sun. The word now gazed and gazed. See, it is used what? Twice. 2 times it is used. Why it is used twice? To indicate how moved or charmed the poet was. The poet uses, he gazed and gazed, that the poet was very charmed. He was gay, means he was charmed of the beauty of the daffodils. He was charmed and he was so much impressed with the beauty. What wealth, but little thought what wealth the show to me had brought. So the wealth is what? What is this wealth? The happiness he got. The wealth is the happiness. So the wealth is the happiness and the pleasant memory which he got, that remained for a long. The happiness and the happiness and the pleasure remained for a long time. So what is the wealth? The wealth he got is the what? Is the happiness. Happiness and pleasant and pleasure. I hope you can understand this. Pleasure or the pleasure or the pleasant memory, you can say. 1 minute. It is the pleasant memory. It is the happiness and pleasant memory. All right, memory, that the poet enjoyed for a long time. That the poet enjoyed for a long time. So in the 4th stanza we get all this. How he remembers later, after seeing the daffodils. After many days he remembered the beauty of the daffodils. So here this stanza we finish here. And in this stanza we have got that what is the meaning of the wealth and how it impressed him for a long time. Now the 4th stanza. So as I told you, there are 4 stanzas of 6 lines each with the rhyme scheme lie, I, mood, solitude, fills, daffodils. So the rhyme scheme is a B, C, C throughout the poem. Now the 4th stanza, you see. For oft when on my couch I lie, in vacant or in pensive mood, they flash upon that inward eye, which is the bliss of solitude. And then my heart with pleasure fills and dances with the daffodils. So for oft means for often. Oft is often. On my couch, that is, couch is a long seat kind of thing. In a vacant or in pensive mood, pensive means deep mood, in a deep reflection. They flash upon the inward eye. Inward eye means imagination. They flash means those. Who are they? These are the daffodils. The daffodils again appear in his imagination. For often when after coming back from that place where he saw the daffodils, he lies on his couch and he is in his vacant. Vacant means without any thought. He's just lying down in a pensive mood. The daffodils come in his imagination, which is the bliss of solitude. Now, what is the meaning of bliss of solitude? Means a blessing. Bliss means a blessing when he is alone. Solitude means when alone. When he is alone. So, bliss of solitude, and then my heart with pleasure fills and dances with the daffodils. So, here the poet says that whenever the poet lies down on his couch in a vacant and pensive, means very serious or very thoughtful mood, what happens? The daffodils flash upon his inner eye. Inward eye means inner eye, right? So this pensive is thoughtful. Okay, I am writing or you will forget. Thoughtful mood, and the flash upon that inward eye means in his imagination. The daffodils what have they become? They have become an everlasting memory. Always it's in his memory for the poet whenever he is lonely. It's an everlasting memory. It's a kind of a blessing when he is always whenever he is lonely. And then thinking about the daffodils, then my heart with pleasure fills and dances with the daffodils. So what happens whenever he is lonely? The view of the daffodils, those daffodils which he saw in 10,000 at a glance, they all flash in his inward eye, and it is a kind of a bliss of solitude. It is a kind of a blessing when he is alone. And whenever he sees the flowers in his imagination, what happens? His mind dances with the dancing daffodil. So whenever his heart, or whenever he sees the flowers, whenever he thinks about the flowers in his imagination, his heart fills with pleasure and his mind dances with the daffodils. So what happens? The last line it is, whenever he sees the flowers in his imagination. Flowers in his imagination. I hope you can understand my writing. His heart, what happens? His heart also starts dancing. His heart fills with pleasure. Fills with pleasure. And his mind class dances with the dancing daffodils. His mind dances with the thought of the dancing daffodils, with the dancing daffodils. So his thought with the dancing daffodils. Okay, so here also you have understood. This is the last paragraph, last stanza, and I hope you have understood it well. So I will be coming up with the next lesson soon. I will take up the question answers and MCQs of the daffodils. So please like, share, subscribe, and press the bell icon to get all the notifications. So see you in my next session.